If I can have your attention for just a minute, and I promise it won't be much longer than that. If you could all, those of you who are not representing the project, if you could all find a seat, I would appreciate it. I'm going to, the supervisor and the mayor are at the American Legion Commander's Dinner. They will be here, I'm guessing in about a half an hour or so, but in the interim, I'm going to turn it over to Jill and let her get you started.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to, this is our public workshop number 2 for the Cornwall, New York Forward program. I am Jill Gallant, I'm with PHB, we're a consulting firm. We're hired by the state to help guide the community through this process. So what is New York Forward? New York Forward was launched in 2022 to invigorate and enliven downtowns in New York's smaller and rural communities. The type of downtowns found in villages, hamlets, and other small neighborhood-scale municipal centers. In other words, it's made perfectly for Cornwall, as far as I can see. Similar to the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, or DRI, as you might have heard, with the Department of State Planning and Implementation support, New York Forward communities develop a strategic investment plan that includes a slate of projects that are readily implementable and aimed at attracting more businesses, residents, and visitors, while providing a higher quality of life for all residents. Next slide. I'm going to stay on this slide for a minute because I think it's kind of important. This is going to go through the whole process, and then we'll get to the interesting stuff, I promise, of where the projects are. So this is our update. This is our schedule. We started back in May, and that's when we began with our public engagement, with meeting with the local planning committee. And then in June, we had our first public workshop. And so I think I definitely see some familiar faces who were here in June. And at that public workshop we got a lot of great feedback from all of you and from your neighbors about Cornwall and everything to do about the Cornwall downtown, what we needed to know. And we used that feedback to help draft a downtown profile and assessment, which is like an existing conditions report of your downtown, kind of outline what your issues and opportunities are. We also had another LPC meeting and then the open call for projects. Back to that public workshop, we also had, at that workshop, had shown draft vision and goals for the New York Forward program. And we got a lot of great feedback and a lot of grammatical advice as well, which was always appreciated. And we used that to help refine the vision and goals based on feedback that we heard from the community. And then we took a little break. So we had the open call for projects, and that was supposed to close in July. But we understand your community got hit really hard by flooding, so we kind of took a pause for a month and a half to let everybody deal with that before having to come back and engage with us. So we extended the open call for projects until about the end of August 18th. And then for the past month, since then, we have been working behind the scenes on helping to develop projects. We've also had 2 LPC meetings, so we've been very busy since we last saw you. And then here we are today. Now we're in October. We were at the Fall Festival last weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but my colleagues did and said it was amazing. And we got to show the projects then, so some of you may have already seen some of these. But we're here today to show them a little bit more in depth. And then with the feedback that we get tonight from all of you, we're going to have an activity after I give this presentation. And then we'll be getting lots of feedback from all of you here in the audience. And then we'll be going back to the LPC, Local Planning Committee, and saying, this is what the public thinks about these projects. This is what they like. This is what maybe they think could be improved. This is their impression of how transformative they think these projects are. The Local Planning Committee will then use that information, along with other metrics, of course, to help determine and finalize the final slate of projects that will be sent to the state. So the final slate of projects will be sent to the state in about November. And then from then, I'm out of the picture, but then the Department of State will take over and they'll take a look through the projects. We'll submit a slate of projects that's between like $7 and $8 million, and then there's $4.5 million for the grant. And so they'll kind of whittle it down and choose $4.5 million worth of projects to fund. This is a recap of public workshop number 1. Again, we had it on June 15th. We had some great feedback. We had a lot of participation. Again, we used the feedback that we heard for the downtown profile assessment, for the vision and goals. We also heard feedback that live streaming is the way to go in this community. So as you can see, we're being live streamed now. So thank you to everybody who's live streaming. And we did some additional outreach as well, so to help get more people involved. So the open call for projects, we started it June 16th, so right after the first public meeting, and went through August 18th. The project team, we held office hours to answer any questions from the project sponsors and potential project sponsors. In all, we ended up receiving 13 projects. 3 of them were determined to be ineligible, so now there's 10 projects. And the LPC has chosen to, so far, they've advanced all 10 projects that are eligible. And these are the 10 projects that you will see today. In all, we have 1 project that was submitted by the town, 2 projects by the village, 3 projects that are joint town and village projects, and then we have 3 projects that are private sponsors, and then 1 that's a nonprofit sponsor. This is the project map. As you can see, that kind of that dark blue line there that's our New York Forward boundary. So all projects had to be within that boundary. And I think it's kind of it's nicely balanced. You can see the projects kind of span the entire corridor of both downtowns and all the way to the waterfront. All right, next up is the preliminary slate of projects. Before we begin, I want to say a little note to our live streaming folks. If you guys want to, this would be a good time to follow along with us and do your assessment. So there's an online survey, which I think there's a link to it on YouTube and Facebook Live. And then we also have it on our website, which is cornwallnewyorkforward.com. And all of you people here, if you would like to use that link afterwards, feel free to go to our website as well.
Joe, can you just, maybe I missed it, but can you go over the criteria on the way that people should be looking how they should be evaluating projects?
Yeah. Actually, if you go back, Susan, I think we had, I can. Thank you for pointing that out. I completely missed that. Our project criteria, so when we had our open call for projects that we were looking at and what the LPC has been looking at, the local planning committee actually has a very regimented kind of criteria that they're looking at. But this is kind of a general overview of it. They want projects that are aligned with the state and local goals. So those goals that were helped formulate by the LPC and by the public at our last public meeting, they want to make sure they meet with those goals. Of course, they have to be located within the New York Forward boundary, so we want projects that are really in the downtowns. Projects that demonstrate strong community support. So this is what we'll be evaluating today. Projects that are well developed. The kind of rule of thumb is that projects should be, from the state, is that projects should be about shovel ready in 2 years. So not necessarily ready today, but make sure that they can be readily implemented within the next 2 years. Attract public and private investment. To revitalize downtown, the best way to do it is for both public and private investment to occur. Improve quality of life, of course, and this is very important to the LPC, I can tell you. And also represent an effective and efficient use of public resources. Of course, this is money from New York State. We're all New York State residents. We want the money to be well spent. All right, and then for the preliminary, I'm also going to take a little break just for the preliminary slate of projects. All of you should have gotten a form that looks like this. You can either pull it down, upload it now and follow along, but after the presentation, we have our project sponsors at each of the boards, and so you can go around and ask lots of questions. So I would suggest filling it out then after you've had a chance to really engage and ask questions about each of the projects. And then on your way out, we will ask you to drop them off on the way out, or you drop them off to Steve back there. All right, now I'm ready. Our first project, and these are in no particular order, I should tell you that. Transform Riverlight Park into an inclusive public park. Improve Riverlight Park with new features such as an ADA compliant walkways and a story walk around Rings Pond, ADA compliant restrooms, an inclusive playground, and a new skate park. Other project elements include improved drainage, rain gardens, and the renovation of the ice house for use as a public pavilion and renovation of Sandspring Homestead. The sponsor is, of course, the town of Cornwall. It's a public project. New York funding forward request. New York forward funding request is $1,270,000. The total project cost is about $2.9 million. Project number 2 is establish and implement a branding, marketing, and wayfinding strategy. Enhance the visibility of downtown Cornwall and attract new residents, businesses, and visitors to downtown Cornwall by establishing Cornwall's brand, developing a marketing strategy, and creating wayfinding signage. The sponsor is both the town and the village, and the New York funding request is $325,000, and that's also the total project cost. Number 3, link Cornwall's downtowns through a pollinator connector trail. Improve sidewalks and crosswalks and add public art, uniform street furniture, a public restroom, street trees, and pollinator plantings to facilitate a fully accessible, engaging, and safe pedestrian connection all the way from St. Luke's Montefiore all the way down through both the town and the village downtowns. This one is also sponsored by both the town and the village together. And the funding request from New York Forward is $855,000, and the total project cost is about $2.4 million. Project number 4, establish a small project fund to assist local businesses. This is to provide the business community with resources to further enhance the economic vitality of downtown Cornwall. Projects could include facade improvements, interior improvements that allow for business expansion, and other capital improvement projects. This is also sponsored by both the village and the town. The New York Forward funding request of $300,000 and a total cost also of $300,000. Project number 5, construct a trail along Dog Hill Road to connect the waterfront to Donahue Farm and the downtown. Construct a 2,500 linear foot trail to allow for a safe pedestrian connection between Donahue Farm and Donahue Memorial Park, including 900 linear feet of existing trail to be improved. This project also includes new sidewalks, crushed stone pathway, and drainage improvements. The sponsor is the Village of Cornwall and Hudson, and the New York Forward funding request is $479,000, and the total project cost is about $1 million. Project number 6. Preserve and historic structures at the Donahue Farm to enhance program and activities. Preserve the exterior of the Donahue Farm barn and renovate the ice house and shed to accommodate public programming. Additional improvements can include the construction of new restrooms and a visitor kiosk as well. The sponsor is the village, and the New York Forward funding request is $667,000, with a total project cost of $720,000. Project number 7, transform the Lennon Building at 257 Main Street into an arts and artisan collaborative space. This project would transform the Lennon Building into a dynamic arts and artisan incubator that supports veteran-owned businesses. New York Forward funding would support the build-out of phase 1 of the project, which includes a bar and spaces for artisans. A future phase includes the creation of a rooftop restaurant and kitchen space. The sponsor is Cornwall Imaginarium, so it's a private entity, and they are seeking a New York Forward funding request of $592,000 with a total project cost of $1.3 million. Project number 8, construct a boutique hotel at 317 and 325 Main Street. This project would construct a 4-story, 52-room upscale boutique hotel, a full-service restaurant and bar on Main Street. Improvements also include the creation of parking spaces that would be leased to the town for public use, and also stormwater drainage improvements. The sponsor is Two Girls, One Boy Holdings, NYF LLC. It's a private sponsor, and they are seeking $1 million for a total project cost of $8 million. Project number 9, renovate the historic Storm King Theater at 2 Idlewild Avenue into a multi-purpose theater space. Improve the historic Storm King Theater by converting interior spaces into a first floor black box theater, which would contain public space, and a second floor lounge and dinner theater that would be integrated into the existing restaurant. This would bring diverse entertainment programming while staying true to the building's historical use. The sponsor name is Storm King Associates, the private sponsor, and they are seeking New York Forward funding request of $774,000 with a total project cost of $841,000. And this is our last one, project number 10, convert the former Shady Ann Homestead at 1 Angola Road into a Veterans Repertory Theater. Did I say that wrong? Because I'm pretty sure. Thank you. So this would turn the homestead into a home for Veterans Repertory Theater. Phase 1 of the project is underway and is the purchase and rezoning of the site. New York Forward funds would then support Phase 2 with a 30-seat theater, box office, lobby lounge area, parking lot, space for playwriting classes, and administrative offices. Future Phase 3 includes expanding the theater to 50 seats by adding a balcony and box seats, a backstage area, dressing rooms, and addition of outdoor stage and second-story porch. The sponsor is VetRep. It's a nonprofit organization, and they are seeking New York Forward funding of $625,000, and total project cost is $3.7 billion. All right. First, before we get to today's activity, I want to say again another shout out to the people online. Thank you very much for joining us. I believe the live stream will end in about 15 minutes. Is that correct?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll end in about 15 minutes after the presentation. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Make sure to fill out those surveys. Now, for all of you in the room, here's today's activity. First of all, the goal is that after the presentation, everybody will go take a look at these boards behind us and talk to the project sponsors. The goal is to learn more about the process and to share your thoughts on which of the New York Forward goals each project achieves and how each project benefits the Cornwall community. Format, so everybody will just get up and just circulate throughout the boards, whichever one interests you first, but we ask that you spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes at each board. Don't stay there too long, give other people a chance. Rules, we always have rules. All ideas are welcome, of course, so we want to hear your feedback, all of it. Also, of course, make room for others to speak, about 5 to 10 minutes, and make sure to return your completed activity response form to the welcome desk. So that's back up front, or again, Steve is going to hunt you down. The workshop ends once the activity is over, so we won't be regrouping. So this is the last you'll see of me up here, but you can come talk to me back there. And that's it. I want to thank you all for coming, and we're looking forward to hearing your feedback on these projects.